Welcome to Manufacturing Greatness. I'm your host, Trevor Blondeel. After working 30 years in manufacturing and other industries, we work with organizations like yours to leverage resources you already have. The regular introduction, but this is not a regular episode because it's just me today talking to you, our community of manufacturing greatness members. And I feel like talking to some of the listeners lately, it is a common group here we have, and we're working together to get this whole area of space where we know we want better safety, quality, productivity. We know that, lean manufacturing and 5S and Six Sigma and Industry 4.0 and continuous improvement, all those are great tools. And this whole aspect of, as our technology continues to implode and AI is a whole new area, manufacturing is still a people business, and upgrading those skills of like how we show up, clear expectations, transparent accountability. A lot of times on the show, we're going to talk about the how, but today I just want to kind of give you an update. It's 2026. A lot has changed, and where manufacturing is going, and then how do we get in front of that, like together as a community. I'm reading articles, looking at studies, communicating with you all, and we're getting some big momentum. And when I say that, I just have a few things to share with you. So, one, if you're a regular listener, you know that I have a book coming out May 11th, 2027. Seems like a while. Great pieces of work take time. And it's definitely been a journey for me. I've had some great advanced readers. So, it is called Manufacturing Greatness. And it's also going to be backed by research with our wonderful partners, Crossover Solutions, where they help manufacturers across the world, providing engineering solutions and partnering with great experts in the industry. And so together we're doing a research project on the state of manufacturing. So I'm going to ask you some more questions about that on the next episode, as we evolve towards that. For now, the help that I'm looking for today is subtitles. So I've got my manuscript complete. I'm looking at my first drafts from the editor. Just so lucky to have paired with Page Two, partnered with Page Two. They're a hybrid publishing company. Great books they've published, and they're out of Vancouver, and just a class act. And it's just already so much fun working with them. And so we knew that the title was Manufacturing Greatness. Long ago, 10 years ago, when we started this company, it was called Operations Kickstart. And we thought we needed a kickstart. Through a mastermind of speakers I was in, a great friend of mine who's passed now, Shark, Kenneth Kenny, he came up with the name Manufacturing Greatness. And he says, if you don't use it, I'm going to take it. So hence we grabbed onto that name. And based on the feedback from everyone, we changed the name of the podcast. It used to be Mindfulness Manufacturing, but that's the why behind we changed it, right? Because it's not about just being mindful or the kickstart. It's really about manufacturing greatness in each of us. And if we can each just focus on getting a little bit better in how we show up, on how we make clear expectations, on how we make transparency with accountability, which actually builds trust, then that's going to shape the world in a different place. If you're in manufacturing right now, or logistics, or transportation, construction, those fields, yeah, it's a burnout job. It can be, and it doesn't have to be that way. We can manufacture so much more in North America, and we can make this a sought after position to work. I think with just some tweaks on the skills of us as top leaders and how that transcends through the organization, where we just have a different way of working with each other, right? Where we don't have to dread coming to work, or when you're going to retire, maybe you're counting down the days. I know some people that are doing that, and I want to help change that. And I know we can do this together. So, we've got that framework in the book, and the book is really for leaders, specifically in manufacturing or adjacent industries. You want high performing teams. You want to get those results, but you just can't get people to do their job or stay with the company and fully engage. And a lot of these concepts come down to, if we can invest a little bit of time into a conversation, then we can get the results. And you may be thinking, yeah, but those conversations take time. Well, they do, but the only way to get more time is to do something that's going to save you time tomorrow. And if we can get to the root cause, to what's really the problem that we're facing, then we're not facing the same problem over and over again. I mean, that's really five why problem solving just in a human connection. So we're going to tie a lot of, everything from value stream mapping to just kind of how we show up and impact others and weave that in together, right? And that's kind of how we're going to, pull this together. So my ask of you, and I'll put it in the show notes, but I got 5 different subtitles. So I'll have them in the show notes. And it's the first one is how to be more productive with the people you already have. So title manufacturing greatness, how to be more productive with the people you already have. And that one is what we use as a slogan a lot, is just not a slogan, but I guess just a way to understand like what do we do? And we truly believe that the best people you could hire are the people you have today. And when you do that, more great people will come to your organization and want to be a part of something special like that and know that their value connects to your organization. Second subtitle, how curious leaders strengthen relationships to improve safety, quality, and productivity. Hits the key words there, tells you kind of how, tells you who it's for. Third one, how to show up, clarify expectations, and instill accountability to streamline your operation. So I've kind of given you the framework in that one. So let's see how that lands. And then number 4, manufacturing greatness. 3 conversations to build high-performing teams that work together, get results, and stick around. And then just the 5th one's very similar, just a little bit shorter. 3 conversations to build high-performing teams that connect, deliver, and stick around. So those are the 5. Those are in the notes. You can check those out. None of us can do this alone, and we need to do it together. In this community, I want to see how we get more engaged. So the big ask today is if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, I've sent a newsletter out today with those titles and asking for feedback. That would be my biggest call to action, because if you're listening, I just can't communicate with you. And over the next year and a half between the research, the launch of the book, and just connecting to the bigger North American view of how do we shift manufacturing, you're going to make this group better by joining it. We'll look at different ways to connect as a community as time goes on. And that may be not what you have space for right now. Maybe it is, but I get your emails. So if, certain guests you want to see on the show, is there certain problems that you need solved? Are you wanting to just kind of work through some issues and seeing how these conversations can actually have a root cause of what's getting in your way, what's in your people's way? Because my guess is that you already have great people and it's just unlocking that. And this is what we're doing with this framework. The framework of how we show up impacts on how people feel, expectations, getting them aligned. There's so much to that, which we'll unpack in further episodes. And then the third one's just accountability, which I believe builds trust. Sometimes you got to go back to the expectations. Sometimes we got to go back to how we're showing up. So we're using that in a constructive way. And the more you work with me, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of progressive discipline. I'm a big fan of just having real timely conversations that move us forward in the direction that we all want to go in. So yeah, the wish out of all this and the book is going to be that it's for you and that you will have high performing teams that work together and stick around. Your safety, quality, and productivity will be better as a result of this. And not only that, when you start practicing these and having these conversations, then that builds momentum no matter what position you are in your organization. So you can hear I'm pretty fired up about this. I'll put the link to the newsletter. So please, I'll be looking for some signups. I'll welcome you personally. And it's just manufacturing greatness /subscribe. So if you can do that now, that'll be kind of our first step, get rolling. Then I'll have more information, and it's different information from the podcast, right? This is a different medium. And then I'm able to communicate some different items through the newsletter. We have this podcast. We've got the website with updates, and you can follow me on LinkedIn. Of course, that's a main area, and now doing more on YouTube. So I'll be around speaking. That's kind of the main area I'm working on now, helping some of the manufacturers that I work with. But really, it's going to be about how do we do this together? How do we build this community? How do we add value to you? Continually getting critiqued. I do my own continuous improvement on how to improve manufacturing operations by listening to you. You, the listener, the reader, the member of the community, the ones that are really manufacturing parts, and just making this a great place to work because we need it. In manufacturing, it's fun. It's a great industry. It's just how we approach it. It's just off a little bit, I believe, in some companies. And unfortunately, I see enough that you may be one of them that could be just a little bit better. And if we can just focus on that, then each day it's that slow, lean improvement just in ourselves or in our machinery and our processes. It's all going to equate. So excited, if we're going to practice vulnerability, I want to be more open. And this is why you're going to start seeing us go to weekly podcast episodes. These ones probably be a little bit shorter. And then we'll still keep the guests on because that's how we all learn together from each other and exposing you to great people in this industry and other experts that have experience, real experience making change. And, it's just a matter of like, which lever do we need to pull right now to have the biggest impact? And I think that's what some of these conversations help us get to. So excited for all that. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for sticking around. We've got all the links there, and I'm just excited to hear from you and continue to engage. Thanks for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week on the podcast.